No one can help you learn how to play the Native American flute. Hi, I'm Charlie Mato-Toyela with bluebearflutes.com, and of course our YouTube channel here, Blue Bear Flutes on YouTube, is where you'll find a lot of videos on how to play the Native American flute. But the fact of the matter is, I can't make you do it. I have tried to make people play the flute for years and years and years, and I continue failing. So try and try again. This is my next attempt. Actually, no, it's not. So this video is just one I want to share with you to give you some tips on how to learn how to play the flute, not on how to play the flute. I don't know if you understood that, but if you didn't, go back and rewind it and listen to that one more time, because I'm not going to repeat myself. I'm not going to say this video is about how to learn to play the flute. This is, how to play the flute. I'm not going to say that. So, anyway, basically what you hear a lot of people say is that you need a teacher, or you need to study this, or you need to study that. And I didn't start playing the flute like that. I had something that anyone desperately interested in learning how to do something basically has to have in order to do it, and that is the willingness. And of course, along with the willingness to do so is the willingness to be adaptable, and to learn how to do that kind of thing. So adaptability is really crucial in learning to do anything. And I honestly, after watching the editing of this video, I feel like that it probably would apply to just about anything. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll tell you all the secrets that you need to know about learning how to learn to play the flute. So first off, flutes look and play a lot of different ways. I've got a couple of different ones here. This one has what we call an open mouthpiece, meaning it's like a river cane flute. It's just a tube that way and a tube that way. It's the same size on both ends for the most part. And you don't have to chomp this in order to play it. As a matter of fact, I recommend not doing so. In fact, I wish I had one to give you a demonstration of, but I don't make those kind of flutes. If you have a mouthpiece on your Native American flute that is really pointy, you don't have to shove that pointy mouthpiece in your face. As a matter of fact, it's probably a bad idea. I've got some videos about wetting out that you really should check out with regards to that, because anytime you put something inside of your pie hole, it causes a salivary reaction, because you're thinking, pie. And even if it's red cedar, you're thinking, red cedar pie. Okay, so maybe you're not thinking that. But anyway, that's probably what I'm thinking. But if you shove something in your mouth, it'll trigger the salivary reaction. If you talk a lot, it tends to make the salivary reaction go up, and that's why I hear some people either get a dry mouth, or you'll listen carefully and hear them swallow, which could be embarrassing in the right circles. But anyway, you don't shove the mouthpiece in your mouth. With this particular flute, watch. I'm going. I think that's probably. Does it look right? Okay, yeah. I've seen the camera lady turned her face, so it's probably looking right. So anyway. You just put your mouth against it. You don't have to put your mouth around it, trying to play a flute like that. That's really, if it looks silly, then it probably is silly. So here's another kind of mouthpiece that we make at Blue Bear Flutes. And of course, our website, bluebearflutes.com, is where you'll find some of these flutes. Anyway, you'll have a rounded mouthpiece like this with just a small opening. Same technique, watch. Nothing to it. And the reason that you use that technique because if you put your mouth around the flute, you'll start salivating really fast. That saliva eventually turns into humidity or moisture. It either runs out of the side of your face, which is, not necessarily a good thing, or it goes through the flute. And even if it's just moisture and not, running out of the side of your face. Anyway, then it's causing moisture to build up inside of the instrument. And the reason that's a problem is because it causes the flute to wet out. So the long story short is that, no one can help you learn to play this instrument unless you're willing to help yourself. You have to learn and you have to be willing to learn, and then you have to try, and after you try, then you have to practice. Oh my gosh, he's going on and on about practicing. Yes, that's what it takes to play something. There are a few people in the world that can, run cold turkey into, a philosophical math class and, pick up that ruler and teach it. It's really kind of a rarity to find somebody that could do that kind of thing. And I'm sure a few years of college would probably help. Is there a college for Native American flute? Gosh, I hope not. But anyway, like I said, you have to be willing to help yourself. People ask for lessons all the time. They're always asking for, what is the secret? And the secret is willingness more than anything. The secret is being willing. And you can translate that, I know I've mentioned before, I practice speaking a couple of different languages. You can translate the word will, even in English, into having willpower. Will you do something? Actually, if you think about it, that means you're willing to do something, but not that you're willing to do something, but that you're actually going to will it into happening. And that's what this is all about. It takes will. Willpower, for example, not to eat that Twinkie or not to have that extra glass of wine, or, willpower to study for that test you really need to study for, instead of watching YouTube videos right now. Don't turn this one off though, because you're going to get a lot out of it. Matter of fact, this will help you ace that test. People think that these secrets are what it's going to take to make it happen. The truth is, every flute is different. Not just how they're shaped and their size, what they're made out of, but some of them take more air than others. And I, as a skilled and been playing for almost 40 years musician of this particular instrument here, I take a lot of it for granted. And I have to stop sometimes when I'm trying to express these ideas to you and share this, that, there's a lot of different constraints that take place in order for me to play this and make it sound like there's a lot that goes on for me to make that happen, but 40 years later, it's kind of second nature. I usually tend to pick up just about any flute and play it with the same verbosity. I think that's a word. If it's not, it sounds like a good one. You're welcome to use that in your English class, by the way. But the conditions are different. It could be hot in this room. It could be cold in this room. You may be playing in the Amazon jungle. I've got customers that are playing in the Amazon jungle right now. It could be that. You could be short of breath. Maybe you rambled on in front of a video camera for a while and just ran out of air. It could be any number of these kinds of things. You could be sick. I do have videos that I made. I recall 100% making videos while I had a cold. And sometimes it's a challenge. It really is. So knowing how to play the flute in those conditions and what will get you by or what will make it happen, that's success. Being able to adjust and not giving up on what it takes to really form this instrument's sound. So it doesn't happen by itself. The flute is not playing right now, so it does take adjusting, not giving up, willingness. So I'm going to show you a couple of simple exercises you can even do today that'll get you by and help you make this happen. So first off, the best flute, the best teachers, the best environment is not going to help. Not unless you practice. If you practice, that's really the key to everything. So you come in here one day and you're practicing and you're feeling like, oh, that's sounding pretty good. Don't forget what you did that day. Or you're coming in and you're practicing and you sound like what you consider to be garbage. I might think you sound different. You might sound great to me or to some other listener. You'll find that a lot, that other people have different opinions of your flute playing than you do. Sometimes they're good, sometimes maybe not so good, and if they tell you that maybe it's not so good or you get that idea from them, use that as an opportunity to think, I need to practice more. So that's one way to look at it. But there's so many things that you have to adapt to. Humidity, for example, can affect tuning. Temperature, as I just mentioned, can affect tuning. Maybe I was out in the coal mine today and I was beating those rocks to get one little lump of coal out of it as hard as I could, and my fingers are numb, or it's cold outside and your fingers are numb. That's kind of something we can probably all relate to. Maybe not everybody's a coal miner. But anyway, any of that kind of thing can happen. And so if your fingers feel different on one day than they do maybe the previous day, you have to learn how to adapt. Some notes are actually harder to learn than others, and this is true. So here's an example. I'll use this flute. I can do it on any of them. So that bottom note, hardest note for most every beginning flute player, I promise you, because a lot of people play it like this when they start, and I know they do. I mean, if you didn't, thank God. But if you did, it's okay. It's part of the deal. That's what we're getting to. So your fingers may not be covering those holes as accurately as they should. I've had 2 or 3 customers in my life of being a flute maker that really loved the postal service. They just really admired them, and they're like, Charlie, can I send this flute back to you? I think it's not doing right. And I'm like, first off, let me send you a video. Next, let's talk about this. Third, before you send it back to me, let me give you a call if you're somewhere I can call you. Let's talk about this in person, because it's probably not the flute. We don't send flutes out that don't play or don't sound good. If something happens in shipping, I mean, that's really the first question. How was the box when you got it? Was it damaged? But anyway, I say these people love the postal service facetiously because they're like, can I just mail it back to you and have you check it? I'm like, last resort, we've tried 10 things and you're not getting it. Let's mail it back to me, but let me give you this assurance. I'm going to open it. I'm not going to open your package before I start filming. I'm going to open it on the video. And we open the video is rolling, and we open the package, and I play it, and it's just like, and it's like, what's the problem? This is the problem. 9 times out of 10, it's your fingers. If you've never played this instrument before, if you have been a concert pianist your whole life or violinist your whole life and you've never played this instrument before, it's your fingers. 9 times out of 10. That 1 time out of 10 is probably your breath. So breath, fingers. Brush your teeth, and then brush your fingers. But no. Those fingers really matter. And getting back to my point about how to play these notes, that bottom one, the hardest one, because you've got all fingers are on deck at this point. So if they're not all covering the holes properly, and I don't know if you can see this ring finger right here isn't covering that hole, watch. That's what I hear over the phone usually. So I'm thinking, oh my God, I made a bad flute. No, I don't think that. The problem is you're not covering the holes all the way. And I even recommend for people to watch themselves like in a mirror or something if they're wanting to ensure that they're covering these holes all the way. But anyway, some other notes are even difficult to learn how to play, like, and then here's one. And I'm going to do it this way. You may not see all my fingers, but I do want to make sure that you get to hear it sound good, because out this way, that's not how you want to play flute. See, it is kind of hard to play. Now the same note on another flute may be easier to play, and I can let you watch this one because it's smaller. And even on some flutes, it may be difficult to play. So the notes, if they seem hard at first, just don't give up. That's part of the learning process. You really should be studying for your test right now. Anyway, so the myth of quick fixes. A lot of people, now I say this because hopefully there's not giant organizations of quick fixes, people selling snake oil out there, but a lot of people say, I have a solution for your problem, and I have this and I have that. And sometimes, like taking potassium. Yeah, most people are short in potassium. I am not giving medical advice. I'm not saying that you should take potassium, but I know I do, and I take it in a lot of different forms. I try to get as much food as I can, but potassium is something that's really important in your life. And if I tell you to take potassium, which I'm not, but if I were to tell you that, it may solve like this much of your problem, but your actual, the problem is that your diet doesn't have enough potassium in it. And I know for myself, I've tried eating just about anything that had potassium in it. I've overeaten things, and a lot of you are out there saying bananas. If you're thinking bananas, put that in the comments, because we're all going to laugh at me because bananas don't have as much potassium in it as, say, kale even has in it. So you start studying potassium, you know where it's at. But anyway, if you realize that the problem is your diet, then you have a little control over that. And of course, the same thing with this flute. There's no quick fixes. I can tell you to cover all the holes, and you might do it today, and then tomorrow maybe a little something different. If you're covering all the holes like this, and then you're blowing too hard, then you still have another problem. So you need to eat more kale, and then you also need, let's see what magnesium comes from, and then we'll talk about that. But anyway, so if you're blowing too hard, that's another thing. So first, check and see if there's a leak. Then you want to seal those fingerings to make sure that there's no leak. If you're leaking one note up here and you've got all holes covered, it's not gonna play, and that's how it happens. So first off, leak. Let's cover the holes. Weak sound, for example, if you're playing like this. My flute's out of tune, Charlie. I hope you enjoy that face. I'm never making it again. But you get the notion that playing too soft doesn't make the flute make a good sound. There's a lot of that word making there. And I'm not using a lot of air right now. You notice I went up like a whole step in tone just now. That's because I used more air. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration. Quick fixes? No such thing. Just a lot of study, practice, the willingness to do these kind of things, adaptability. A lot of that really goes into what makes this happen. So keep that in mind. Next, the power of daily playing with Charlie Mato-Toyela. That sounds like a good video series. But anyway, daily playing is practice. Now, whether you like it or not, that's practice. You can look at this thing, and I've got one friend that I'm thinking of right now, hi Ryan, that loves playing his flute every single day. And so he is kind of remiss whenever he doesn't have his flute nearby. We've talked about that, right? But anyway, so not having the flute nearby for some people is kind of like maybe for myself even, a reason for anxiety. I mean, we've been making so many flutes. If there's not a flute within 2 or 3 feet of me, I do kind of get anxiety myself. But if you love this flute and you want to learn how to play it, why not have it somewhere within reach on a regular occasion so that you can just pick it up and just even 5 minutes, This is what's going to make you good, by the way. Now, how long did I play just now, right? That's how long I practiced. So you can do that for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. An occasional opportunity, you don't have anything else going on and you just want to relax, sit and play it for 10, 20 minutes, You'll get a lot out of that, but not nearly as much as you will picking it up once a day for 5 minutes at a time. It builds muscle memory. It causes you to learn control. Control is so difficult. I mean, as a human being, we have so many reasons to not have self-control. I could list them, but I probably would be banned from YouTube if I did, which is a hard thing to do. But most people, as I had mentioned, don't want you to have self-control. I am really bad about making other people not have self-control too. And I've got, like I'm telling you to play your flute all the time right now, so I guess it could be self-control. But anyway, muscle memory, having control of your air, these abilities grow naturally through small challenges. And the reason I'm talking like one of my childhood heroes, Captain Kirk, right now is because I want you to know that it is so critical that you adapt and realize that you're growing. You may not realize this. Knowing that you're growing and improving is a hard thing to know. And the challenges are actually what's making you good, not making you bad. They might be challenging for a second. This is the easiest instrument in the whole world to learn how to play. Anyway, so you hold it comfortably, be relaxed, relax your shoulders, make sure that your mouth seals like we talked. Don't bite it, don't shove it in your pie hole, and blow gently, kind of like you're fogging a glass. And I'm holding it out in front of me so that you can see my fingers moving. But when I usually play, I play just like this. If you don't believe it, check out my Instagram. This is how I usually play. I'm not a type of player. I might make that sound once in a while, but I don't hold this flute out in front of me whenever I play. I usually hold it down here like this. Once again, I hate to say this, but it's kind of like you see the original pictures of Kokopelli, which, you know, is one of our oldest historic models of a flute player in the Americas, but you know, it's not like that. I'm not, you know, Kokopelli. Please forgive me, anybody that has been worshiping this image, but I don't think he's a god, you know. I mean, we can't know about all of our people's cultures, you know, down to the T, but I'm pretty sure that that's not God. Anyway, love you guys if you think he is, okay. But anyway, just hold the flute like this and just comfortable. I like to rest my arms against my body, kind of like that T-Rex video that we made. I don't know if you've seen it, but if you did, put a comment down below and let me know. I watched your T-Rex video. I hated it. I loved it. I think it's the greatest thing since Swiss cheese. I hate Swiss cheese. Don't forget all the things I just said. Hold it comfortably. Seal it carefully with your mouth. No, don't shove it in your face. You know, blow gently. Play one clean note. If you get that note down, the hardest one I told you most beginners have, you are doing great. If you can't play that note, start like I normally recommend during my teaching videos by uncovering all holes. Easiest note to learn how to play. All you do is blow. There's no fingers covering. You get that one, you should be able to say, you know, I can do this. At that point, cover the next hole. After you do that, cover the next hole. Cover the next hole. So get one clean note, then practice the next note. And you get that note, practice the next note. If you don't know what the fingerings are, we do have videos about that and demonstrations. This one here, I think, would be adequate enough for any beginner to look at and say, oh, that's how you play the flute. You just cover the holes one at a time. If you have one of those 6-hole flutes that has either a piece of leather tied on it or somebody, you know, told you to keep that hole covered up, first ask them why would Native Americans drill a hole and then keep it covered up all the time, because I've got a video about that. But then, you know, just keep it covered up, you know, put a cork in it, piece of tape, leather, you know, whatever it takes, and then cover the holes one at a time, top to bottom. After you go top to bottom, bottom to top. Easy peasy. So if it sounds off, like it doesn't sound like you're doing good, adjust your breath, adjust your posture, adjust your fingers, adjust the angle that you're holding the flute at. You know, if it looks silly, it probably is silly. So keep that in mind. Anyway, now with other types of flutes, for example, this is a drone flute. This is one of my low E drones. It's got 2 holes here. Anybody that's never seen one has 2 mouthpieces up at the top. Now, I had mentioned those other Native American flutes that have the pointy mouthpiece that you shove in your pie hole, which you shouldn't, but anyway, just put it like right up next to your lips, and that's how you want to do that. With this one, it is just like my other flutes. You have those 2 mouthpieces, similar to a harmonica. You want to put it up to your lips And that's it. You don't have to try to bite this thing. That would look really silly on camera for somebody trying to win the respect of people. But it's a bad idea. It looks bad. I can tell by the camera lady's facial expressions and how she's hunched over, gasping for air. Notice how I slid my mouth over to the side? The reason I did that's because of those two mouthpiece holes. I wanted to play just the flute side. So I can do this in front of you now, I think. I think you've all got that mental image of me trying to bite this flute. not a pretty one. But so one side, or both sides. I have a harder time doing it this way, I really do, because my wrist is cramped like that, but you probably heard me blowing through the side of the hole here because, first off, I don't recommend playing the flute like this. That's just, I don't know why you would ever play that unless you're trying to show somebody something and you have absolutely zero fear about what you look like on camera. But if you could, see, I'm just going, I'm not even going to make the funny lips this time because it's just, that's all it is. Now with this instrument, as it is with the others, you can adjust your airflow. If you find yourself playing one side louder than the other side, the real tendency is to want to play the drone side too loud versus the flute side. You can actually adjust your position, your lip position, to give more air to one side versus the other. I've actually used this technique in playing with other people when I had a third flute going and I wanted to kind of sneak in that drone sound. But I mean, that's really complex and much more, than it's probably worth talking about. But just FYI, there's practical applications. If one side is louder, slip to both sides or slip to the other side a little bit more. Now, one thing I'd like to tell you about is frustration. I have performed in public, I've spoken in public, I have dealt with private organizations and private groups I've spoken in front of, and there are frustrations, and some of them that I have had are unfathomable. But I usually laugh at them because that's how I realize how very, very tiny those frustrations really are. And I'm talking about some that would put most people in tears, but mine, like I say, as giant as they are still so small, so insignificant. Can you imagine the frustrations you might have from learning to play this instrument? This big. No, this big. That's how big those frustrations are in your daily life. And does that mean, well, let's just give up on playing this instrument? Absolutely not. It just means that, learning to drive a stick shift for the first time is probably harder than learning to play this instrument. It really is. Learning to fly an airplane. Okay, let's put you in a situation. The pilot had too much turkey. I'm trying to make this a nice, positive situation. The pilot had too much turkey. You're the only passenger, and he fell asleep while he was flying the plane. Okay? You might feel a little frustration not having known that today was going to be the day that you were going to learn how to fly an airplane. There may be just being in that situation, I would be slapping this guy right and left trying to wake him up. But, that's frustration. This is relaxing, simple. Take the steps. It is so easy. It's okay to have walls, and it's okay to see, not to experience, feel, or believe in, especially. It's okay to see boundaries. I don't believe in boundaries. It's okay to see them. You know that there's something there. There's like a veil that's in your way, but it's not a boundary. That's just another challenge that you have to face and deal with. And once you get on the other side of it, you're a lot stronger. Same thing with this instrument. So Shift your breath, move your fingers to make sure that they're not, partially covering the holes. Change your posture, relax your grip. Don't worry about the piper's grip. And you can worry about it if you want to, but I just don't want you to think that I'm worried about it. So keep that in mind. No one can play for you except for you. Now, you can listen to other people play the music, but no one can make you play this flute. It's not possible. Teachers are maps, and you walk the path. That's what that is. Progress equals practice plus adaptability plus not only watching videos. Practice. You. Pick it up. Practice. Don't give up. Oh my gosh, don't give up. Be willing. So, in conclusion, I hope this helps you too. Pick your flute up today. Don't wait on perfect conditions. Don't think, oh gosh, I unwrapped it a week ago, but I'm just so afraid to play it. Look, I have had that conversation with a potential or previous customer. Don't let it sit there and air out. Don't worry about it. It's just part of the deal. You have to pick it up and play it, and if you play it, then it will be played, right? So, and I know that sounds like such 80s and 90s jargon for something that I'm trying to say something else, but I'm not. Just pick up and play the flute. That's what makes it happen. So tell me, what challenges have you had in the comments, if you would please, because that'd be a lot of emails for me to read. What challenges have you had, and what next step are you going to take today? No one can help you unless you're willing to help yourself. And if you stay adjustable, you'll succeed. If you stay adaptable, you'll prevail. You can do this. So anyway, like I said, comments, I love them. I appreciate them. Thumbs up if you feel like it. Thumbs down don't thumbs down. But if you don't like it, don't tell anybody. I mean, everybody else liked it, so I don't know what's wrong with you. But anyway, I hope this has helped you all, and certainly I appreciate you watching it thoroughly as you have, and those of you who are going back over it, trying to find something, a little gem in there, I hope there's one that you'll find. I know I can think of one I'd like to send to somebody. But anyway, y'all take care. Charlie Mato-Toyela signing out for Blue Bear Flutes and BlueBearFlutes.com. Hope to see you here again very soon.